trading day of the week, but man, oh man, this is a week for certainly the more recent history books. What do you think?
Neil, if someone told you at the end of Monday's sell-off, which was the worst day for the markets in 2 years, that we would only be marginally down on the week by today, Friday, you might have thought that that's a pretty tough trade. But here we are, barely down on the week, still on track for a fourth weekly loss, which is the longest losing streak in a year. But you're down about 9% from those July records. And we typically see a 10% correction from record highs in an average year, according to Goldman Sachs. So this type of volatility, it's expected, especially in quiet summer months. Now, the biggest trade the last 2 years, AI and chips, still alive after the world's biggest contract manufacturer of advanced chips, Taiwan Semi, TSMC, said July sales went up by 45%. Now, NVIDIA, AMD outsources the actual making of their AI chips to TSMC. So that means there's still booming demand for AI and a boost to these AI stocks. Still, NVIDIA's lost almost $1 trillion from its June records, and it's been down along with the rest of the Mag 7 tech stocks, the hyperscalers, as they're now called. Only Meta is up over the past month, and that's because it's the only one out of the Mag 7 that's underperformed since its April earnings. Surprisingly, despite Warren Buffett dumping almost half of his Apple shares this year, over $70 billion worth, Apple's still holding up this week, and that's because, when Buffett sells, index funds have to buy in order to mirror the index. So Buffett hasn't sold much Apple since 2016, and there's that strange dynamic on the markets. Now, this week's extreme volatility, you have to call it extreme, where you have one session as the worst in 2 years, then another that's the best in 2 years. That type of volatility is expected to be with us until the end of this year. Now, next week, two things that could shake up momentum. You have that inflation CPI report, Walmart earnings, and then later on this month, NVIDIA earnings on the 27th, and Jackson Hole in the Federal Reserve later on August 22nd. Neil, Wall Street's still betting that there's a greater than a 50% probability, more than half, that we'll get a jumbo 50 basis point rate cut in September.
It is weird. I mean, that betting has got so strong now that you wonder if they don't get that half a point, cut, are they going to have a temper tantrum? We'll have to see. Susan, a great review of everything.